Joker was released in 2019, and I want to spend a few moments reflecting on this film, my thoughts on it, and how it had had a lasting impact on me. Joker isn't just another superhero film or origin story, it's a psychological thriller, a deep dive into mental health, and for some, it stands as the best character development ever captured on screen. But beyond the film itself, it was a speech from Joaquin Phoenix that left me profoundly moved and transformed. The film revolves around Arthur Fleck, a man who struggles with mental illness and is rejected by society at every turn. He's the kind of person that society ignores or makes fun of until he becomes a symbol of violence and chaos. Arthur's desperation is clear, and in one haunting scene he writes in his journal, "The worst part of having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't." I relate to Arthur on a personal level. For much of my life, I've struggled with negative thoughts and feelings of being a social outcast. His story of rejection and frustration really hit home for me. And of course, Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal was masterful. He brought such raw emotion to the role, and I truly believe his Oscar win was well deserved. But it wasn't the film that had a lasting impact, it was Joaquin Phoenix's acceptance speech after winning the Oscar that changed me forever. His words weren't about him or the film, they were about something far bigger. So let's break down some key parts of his speech that really resonated with me.
God, I'm full of so much gratitude right now. And I do not feel elevated above any of my fellow nominees or anyone in this room because we share the same love, the love of film, and this form of expression has given me the most extraordinary life. I don't know what I'd be without it. But I think the greatest gift that it's given me, and many of us in this room, is the opportunity to use our voice for the voiceless.
When Joaquin said this, I felt it deeply. As someone who has often felt voiceless, this idea of speaking up for others, whether they are marginalised people, animals, or the environment, became something I couldn't ignore. Joker showed us the consequences of a society that leaves people like Arthur behind. But Joaquin's speech made me realise we can do better. We must do better.
I've been thinking a lot about some of the distressing issues that we are facing collectively. And I think at times we feel, or we're made to feel, that we champion different causes. But for me, I see commonality. I think whether we're talking about gender inequality or racism or queer rights or indigenous rights or animal rights, we're talking about the fight against injustice. We're talking about the fight against the belief that one nation, one people, one race, one gender, or one species has the right to dominate, control, and use and exploit another with impunity.
This moment made me pause. Joaquin Phoenix, standing on that stage, used his platform not to celebrate himself, but to speak out against injustice. Whether we're talking about systemic oppression or the treatment of animals, the message is the same. It's about fighting for what's right. And that's when it really clicked for me. This film and this speech were telling me to stand up for those who can't speak for themselves. Then he shared something even more powerful.
I think that we've become very disconnected from the natural world, and many of us, what we're guilty of is an egocentric worldview, the belief that we're the center of the universe. We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for our calf and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. And I think we fear the idea of personal change because we think that we have to sacrifice something to give something up. But human beings at our best are so inventive and creative and ingenious. And I think that when we use love and compassion as our guiding principles, we can create, develop, and implement systems of change that are beneficial to all sentient beings and to the environment.
This part was what really made me reflect on my own habits. The idea that humans have disconnected themselves from the natural world and feel entitled to take without giving back struck me hard. It made me rethink everything I knew about food, consumption, and the way we treat the animals around us. Joaquin wasn't just pointing fingers, he admitted his own flaws.
I've been a scoundrel in my life. I've been selfish, I've been cruel at times, hard to work with, and ungrateful, but so many of you in this room have given me a second chance. And I think that's when we're at our best, when we support each other, not when we cancel each other out for past mistakes, but when we help each other to grow, when we educate each other, when we guide each other towards redemption. That is the best of humanity.
This really hit me because it wasn't about being perfect. It was about recognizing our flaws, growing from them, and supporting each other on that journey. We don't have to be perfect to make a difference, we just have to try. Before watching this speech, I had already been experimenting with a plant-based diet for health reasons. A documentary called Game Changers had sparked my interest, showcasing elite athletes thriving on plant-based diets. But after watching Joaquin's speech, something changed in me. I sought out information using online resources and watched documentaries such as Dominion, and while it was hard to watch, it gave me the motivation I needed to make lasting change. I wasn't always vegan. I grew up in a household where my mother was vegetarian and I often mocked the only vegan I knew. But once I started questioning my habits, once I opened my eyes to the reality around me, everything changed. Being vegan isn't easy. Joaquin Phoenix isn't vegan because it's easy. The millions of vegans around the world aren't vegan because it's easy. It's hard, but we do it because we believe in something bigger than ourselves. It's a commitment to kindness, to the environment, and to the animals that we share this world with. I don't expect everyone to go full vegan overnight, but I do think everyone can make small changes. Limit your meat consumption to a few meals a week, or start by cutting dairy out of your diet. Every small change counts.
When he was 17, my brother wrote this lyric. He said, "Run to the rescue with love and peace will follow." Thank you.